The Republican Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, facing the possibility now of impeachment. A Texas House committee voted unanimously yesterday to recommend articles of impeachment against Paxton, including accusations of bribery, obstruction of justice, and dereliction of duty. Paxton calls the investigation, helmed by fellow Republicans, illegal. The chamber, the full House chamber, is scheduled to vote tomorrow afternoon. And if it impeaches Paxton, then it moves on to the Senate for trial. CNN's Ed Lavandera with more.
One of the most controversial politicians in Texas is facing impeachment.
This shameful process was curated from the start as an act of political retribution.
Republican Ken Paxton has been the state's attorney general since 2014, but a Texas House committee led by fellow Republicans is accusing Paxton of a litany of criminal acts, including bribery, obstruction of justice, dereliction of duty, 20 articles of impeachment in all filed against him. The charges brought by the Texas House General Investigating Committee detail alleged violations by the AG and a request for more than $3 million of public money to pay a legal settlement to whistleblowers who worked as top deputies in the AG's office. They revolted against Paxton in 2020. There are also bribery charges with a top campaign donor that involved an alleged affair. In a statement, Paxton says the allegations are politically motivated and based on, quote, hearsay and gossip, and also added that corrupted politicians in the Texas House are actively destroying Texas's position as the most powerful backstop against the Biden agenda in the entire country.
Every politician who supports this deceitful impeachment attempt will inflict lasting damage on the credibility of the Texas House.
Paxton has been under indictment for felony securities violations since taking office. He's also under FBI investigation for his actions connected to the articles of impeachment. Paxton has denied all wrongdoing, and Texas voters have reelected him as Attorney General twice. And along the way, he's garnered the support of a major ally.
He loves this state and he loves this country. Attorney General Ken Paxton.
And taking a page out of the Trump playbook, Paxton blames the looming impeachment fight on liberal factions in the Texas Republican Party. One Texas state representative predicts Paxton will be impeached by the Texas House, but is calling on the Texas Senate to refuse to hold an impeachment trial.
No one has any evidence that he did anything wrong. It's all allegations. It's all allegations. And so, yeah, this is political retribution is all it is. This is a complete sham.
If the impeachment passes in the Texas House with a majority vote, it moves on to the Senate, where the Attorney General's wife, State Senator Angela Paxton, could be among those voting on his potential impeachment. Ken Paxton is urging friends and supporters to come peacefully rally on his behalf at the Texas Capitol on Saturday, when Texas lawmakers will vote on the articles of impeachment. And this is significant because it echoes what Donald Trump did with his supporters on January 6th. And we must point out that Ken Paxton was on that same stage with Donald Trump on that day. John?
He was indeed. Ed Lavandera, thanks so much. Back with me now, Molly Ball and Ron Brownstein. Molly, I was listening to some of the testimony in the impeachment committee. Some of these allegations go back to the very beginning of his tenure, back to 2014 and 2015. There's been a stench, clouds of smoke anyway, around Ken Paxton for a long time. Why now?
Well, he essentially asked the legislature to participate in a cover-up. As Ed was saying, you know, there was a request for this fine that had been levied against him, more than $3 million, to settle the claims of the whistleblowers, Republican staffers who worked in his office, and so he asked the legislature to pay that money for him, and so they started investigating him on that basis. But as you mentioned, you know, this is someone who's been under indictment for nearly 8 years. You know, where is the judicial system? Where is the FBI? Is it any wonder that people have qualms about the rule of law in this country? I mean, here's someone who basically, you know, epitomizes Trump's attitude that if you make the law, you know, they can't touch you and you get to make the rules. But there is a higher authority than the Attorney General of Texas, and it looks like it may finally be time to pay the piper.
It looks like at least we get the vote in the House. And we see, Ron Brownstein, what is the significance outside the borders of Texas? Paxton has been one of the Republican attorneys general who have gone to court repeatedly to challenge just about everything the Biden administration does. And often Texas takes the lead so they can try to find, they think they can find more favorable federal judges in the state of Texas. Would he just be replaced by another Republican? Does that matter? Is this just about him, or does it have bigger meaning?
Well, let's break it out from outside of Texas and inside of Texas. Outside of Texas, his significance is exactly what you say. Republican state attorneys general have repeatedly sued the Biden administration trying to preserve Trump-era policies or block policies that Biden wants to pursue, particularly on immigration and the environment, but also on the Mifepristone case. And very often, Texas is the lead plaintiff, because that way they can find Trump-appointed district or other conservative district judges in Texas, and then have a pipeline for the case to go through the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is perhaps the most conservative in the country. And this is something that Republicans have used over and over again. So Paxton has made himself into a hero for the MAGA base in many ways by positioning himself as kind of the tip of the spear in the legal efforts to stop Biden. Inside of Texas, it's fascinating because there is a divide between the Texas State Senate and the Texas State House. The State House has generally been considered more pragmatic, somewhat more centrist, although still under Republican leadership, than the Texas State Senate, which is led by the Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who was kind of Trump before Trump. And so the intramural struggle is reflected in this, that it's the House pursuing it, and unclear whether the Senate will follow up. It is remarkable, though, for this to be coming up at the end of a session, which has probably been the most conservative in Texas history, which is saying something, not only a raft of socially conservative legislation, but also unprecedented measures being passed in both chambers to strip authority from the increasingly Democratic-leaning large cities and counties in the state, including giving the state authority to overturn elections just in Harris County, which is Houston. And so for this to come, this kind of intramural fighting in the Republican Party to come out at the end of a session that has been so ideologically aggressive is still somewhat remarkable.
And Molly, Ron calls it intramural fighting, and that it is. It also has a reality TV flavor to it, and Paxton using what we call now the Trump playbook. I don't know if that's correct or fair or not in the case, but he says, this is led by Republicans, so he calls them essentially rhinos, is Trump's word, Republican name only. He calls them liberals, but he's gone even beyond that. He's not just saying I didn't do these things. He's trying to attack the investigators, if you will. He sent a letter about the based on a review of Speaker Dade Phelan's presiding over the House of Representatives in an obviously intoxicated state, I'm calling upon the committee to open an investigation into the Speaker for violation of House rules, state laws, conduct unbecoming his position. That we have seen in Washington, attack the attackers, attack the investigators. Does it work in Texas?
Well, we'll see. It doesn't seem to have worked in this case because that statement was issued right before they announced all of the articles of impeachment. So clearly it was some sort of attempt to head this off, or as you say, to attack the attackers. But look, this is Republicans policing their own. It is very hard for him to argue that this is somehow partisan. Again, this whistleblower complaint started with loyal Republican staffers in his own office who became alarmed about his behavior, about the way that he was using the office allegedly to cover up for his friends and do his friends' bidding and help them. So this is all between Republicans. There are to talk about a liberal faction in the Texas state legislature, that it doesn't really exist. So he's clearly trying everything he can, and he will have the opportunity to make his case in these proceedings. But this has been coming for a very long time.
Yes, it has. And now the moment of truth is here. I just want to put on the record the reaction from the Texas House Speaker to that. His communications director saying Mr. Paxton's statement today amounts to little more than a last-ditch effort to save face. Again, we'll continue to track this impeachment case. Molly Ball, Ron Brownstein, great to see you both.